Sports betting has its grip all over America, and we can't escape it. Turn on the TV to catch a game? Sports betting ad. Take a walk through the city? Sports betting ad. It's everywhere. Heck, now even our favorite sports podcasts are sponsored by sports betting apps. Not long ago, the NFL and other major sports leagues wanted nothing to do with gambling. They distanced themselves from it at every turn. Now, they've completely embraced it. Honestly, I'm not sure what's more unsettling, the hypocrisy of these leagues, or the fact that nobody seems to care. Everybody's just chasing the next point spread that they think they can cash in on. In this video, we're going to break down the economics of sports betting, the history, the numbers, and how an entire industry is making billions off of greed, addiction, and exploitation. It feels like just yesterday I remember how hard professional sports leagues worked to distance themselves from sports gambling. In fact, just a short 10 years ago, Las Vegas didn't have a single professional sports team out of fear that it would ruin the image of the respective leagues. Almost like the presence of gambling would taint the integrity of the game. Fast forward to 2025, and Vegas has 4 professional teams and has become the mecca of the sports world. In the 1960s and 70s, NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle took a hard and clear stance on gambling. He didn't like it, and there was going to be no part of it in the NFL. That was a sentiment that was held for several decades. The NFL wasn't alone in this. Every other major American sports league equally distanced themselves from sports betting. In 2012, then NBA Commissioner David Stern and then MLB Commissioner Bud Selig slammed the New Jersey Governor Chris Christie for seeking to allow sports betting in New Jersey. Stern claimed that Christie had no idea what he was doing, and Selig stated that he was appalled. Just think about this. That was a short 13 years ago. Now you can not only bet on the outcome, you can bet on something as silly as who's going to score the first touchdown of the game or who will snag the first rebound. The extreme change we are seeing is truly unprecedented. Without being hyperbolic, I am not sure I can think of an example where an organization switched up on a major topic so quickly without anybody seeming to care or be suspicious of it. We can fast forward throughout history, and I can provide tens of other examples of what has been provided so far. But essentially, what you need to know is that sports betting was looked at with disgust for several decades until May of 2018, when the Supreme Court struck down a law that prohibited sports betting. In other words, it effectively became legal. Since then, it's become a staple of the American household and our wallets. Since sports betting became legal in 2018, Americans have gambled nearly $450 billion on sports. If we break that down on an annualized level, we see an approximate value of $75 billion per year in bets. If we compare that to the revenue of other major US markets on an annualized basis, we see some pretty wild numbers. Sports gambling wagers are nearly double the revenue of the US fitness industry. American box office revenues are 8 times smaller than sports gambling wagers. The American tobacco industry is only slightly larger than the sports gambling market in terms of revenue relative to bets. And the alcohol industry only produces revenues 3.5 times that of the sports gambling market relative to bets. I don't know about you, but those numbers are shocking to me. Based on these numbers, it's pretty easy to imagine somebody parlaying 16 bets on DraftKings as they indulge in a cold beer and a cigar. The sheer size doesn't tell the full story. On average, an American household spends $1,100 a year on sports betting at the sake of making other investments, like in stocks or a 401k. A study by Northwestern University's Scott Baker in July of 2024 indicates that those spending the $1,100 per year in sports betting simultaneously reduce their investments by 14%. Truly insane. States that legalized online sports betting saw a 28% increase in bankruptcy filings. Not only that, but these trends have been coupled with lower credit scores, higher credit card debt, and higher rates of account overdrafts. Oh, yeah, I should probably tell you that most states and credit card providers allow you to use credit to make deposits into your favorite sports betting apps. Nothing like having your favorite sports YouTuber shove DraftKings or PrizePicks down your throat every day on their podcast, then being able to bet your 401k investments on Patty Mahomes throwing for 300 yards or more, all while using a maxed out credit card with 24.99% APR. While I acknowledge that people need to take accountability for their lives and ultimately be responsible for their decisions, I also acknowledge that people much smarter than me at the Mayo Clinic say that gambling has a powerful effect on the human mind and creates a compulsive dynamic affecting mental, emotional, and physical health. Sounds a lot like other addictions like drugs and alcohol, right? With nearly half of the American population claiming to have gambled in the last year, it's clear that this is a prominent part of American culture. Shockingly, this isn't what bothers me the most about sports betting. It's that the very reasons that major sports leagues stayed away from it for decades have turned out to be true. And instead of treating this the same way some jurisdictions have treated cigarette advertisements, we fully encourage it. For example, many US jurisdictions have point of sale advertising restrictions that restrict the time, places, and manners an ad can be placed. If sports betting adopted the same, we wouldn't have DraftKings and Underdog banners and adverts shoved down our throats during our favorite games. Additionally, a lot of times you can't use a credit card to pay your mortgage, pay rent, pay taxes, or pay your student loans, but you can max it out getting Gilbert Arenas' Underdog deposit match. This isn't Gil catching strays. I'm a fan of his pod and a daily listener. You can literally listen to any influencer you want and get the same result. Many of these sports books don't even want you to make educated decisions either. They just want you to click random buttons and hope that your bet hits. For example, if I wanted to use ESPN Bet to make some bets on the Warriors Wolves game tonight, it would probably be wise to see how the player performs. Instead of their stats being embedded into the app, I need to scroll all the way to the top and click on ESPN Gamecast. From there, it launches the ESPN app where I would individually have to go through the player stats to see if the odds are in my favor. It's not uncommon for these books to give me good odds on some player to grab 8 or more boards when their season average is 3 per game. They are literally banking on you not to know the player, but love the odds. While other apps like Underdog and FanDuel give you the ability to see stats, oftentimes they are limited, like 5 game averages, or they will give you their whole season averages without any context for how the player is currently trending. That leads me to my next point. Many of these apps don't give you player news, or if they do, the news is completely dated, slow to update, or excludes sources from insiders who can typically let us know if a player is going to be out long before it's officially reported. This means that your 10-leg player prop may include 2 or 3 players who may not even be playing tonight. In summary, sports betting has become a prominent part of American culture. It's everywhere, from being a sponsor on our favorite podcast to seeing an advertisement at the game. Despite the science and numbers telling us the extreme addictive nature of gambling and the impact it has on our finances, we are expected to turn a blind eye and not care. We are supposed to pretend like this isn't weird or predatory. Daddy can't pay rent to keep a roof over his family's head with a credit card, but he can use that credit card to make some parlays. I am not advocating for sports betting to be disbanded. I just think we ought to encourage the American public to understand the nuances of it, instead of treating it like something that goes hand in hand with sports like chicken wings or chips. Also, maybe we can stop advertising it during the games like it's Flappy Bird or Candy Crush. Either way, if you or somebody you know is struggling with a gambling addiction, there's no shame and there is help for you. Check out ncpgambling.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER. I hope y'all enjoyed this breakdown, and I hope you hit the like button, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos like this, where we break down the economics and money of industries you know and love.